The assignment for Module 15 builds on the assignment from Module 14, which was to create a database in the MySQL server on your MAMP installation on your computer. Assignment 15 requires that you create 3 pages that will work together to function as a very basic phone book in PHP and MySQL. So this is kind of how the assignment should look when it's finished. I've got a page that shows the records, and this page right now is empty because I don't have any records in my database. Here's the database that I created, and if I click Browse, you can see there are no records here. So going back to the phone book application, if I click Add a new record, it will take me to a form where I can add a new record. John Smith, 111, 111, 1111, and John at domain.com, and then I'll pick his birthday using the widget or using the data entry type for the input. The input type of calendar allows me to pop that up easily. This doesn't work in all browsers, but it does work in Chrome, so I'm going to cheat and use that. And then when I click Add Contact, it's going to submit this form to a script that adds the data in this form to the database. It doesn't really do any checking at this point or reformatting or anything like that. It just puts it in the database. And then it's going to take me back to the original page of the phone book, which will show the information. So I hit Add Contact, and you can see now the information that I put in is there. So if I have another one added, and I put in just whatever date there, you can see here it's going to alphabetize these. It's going to put them in order by last name and then first name. You can see birth date, and then the last updated gets added automatically. This is a calculated field since I'm not entering it. Okay, so if I look back at the database now, I can see that data has been added to the database, and that's where it is coming from. Let's take a quick look at some of these scripts so that you can see how this is all working. So for the phone book add, which is the form, I've just got a simple form, and it posts to phone book add, save. That script has a few parts to it. The first part, and by the way, these are all from the reading, so you can look into the reading and see exactly how this is done. But the first thing we have here is this, the script takes these values that are posted in the form. On the birthday, it actually uses the PHP date function to reformat that in a friendly date format that can be inserted into the database. If you insert it in the way it was presented, then it won't work. So make sure you're using this script or this code to translate the date that's submitted into the properly formatted date. And then I'm using the date function without this part of it, which basically says get the date right now and put it in this format, and then puts it into the last updated variable. The next part of this script is my connection parameters, and yours should be very similar to this. Localhost if you're using MAMP, root, and root is the username and password for your database in MAMP. Normally these would be something a little bit more secure, but since this is running on your server, that's what this is. And then the name of the database that we created is phone book, which is taken from this right here. So once we connect to the database through this MySQLite connect command, we can check and see if the connection worked. And if it doesn't work, it'll send it back to the other page while displaying an error. URL encode takes the MySQLite connect error and makes it a URL friendly error code so that it'll be sent via the get string. And then the SQL statement, if you look at the MySQL database information, It'll explain how MySQL works, but you can kind of pick it apart here. This is the name of the database table. These are the name of the fields you're entering the data into. And then these are the variables that you're entering. Notice that each one is surrounded by single quotes because each one is a string. Birthdays or dates are also counted as strings, and any text is counted as a string. Now, the final step here is to run the query. And you can see here it takes the connection as a variable, and it takes the SQL statement as a variable. And those parameters require it to insert or execute this SQL statement with that data in it, which puts the record in. If there are no errors, it will take you back to the listing of the page. If there are errors, then again, it encodes them for the URL and takes you back to the add form. The last thing you do each time is you close your database connection. This saves the memory on your server from getting eaten up. Then the last page, of course, is the display page. This is all my CSS, so I can just hide that. Again, each time you have a page, you're going to make that connection. That's these two lines. And then the SQL query this time is a select query, which is, it gets data from the database. So I'm telling it which fields I want to select, and I'm telling it which table to get them from, and then I'm telling it how to sort them. So I'm ordering them by last name and then first name, and then the results are put into this variable, which make it an associative array. And at that point, once the results from the database are in the result variable, I can actually close the connection to the database. And then we go on down here, and you can see I've got some PHP code that goes through the number of rows that are there. And for each row, it is going to return a value that I'm then putting into a table. So it'll use a while loop to create a table row for each row of data or each record in the database that gets returned. And if it says no records yet, that means there's nothing in the database. So you can take a look at this code, and you can take a look at the example on W3 Schools, but your finished product should look something like this.